Let's see. Yeah, so people can hear. Let's give a shout out to the province you're living in. Just tell me where you're from. Don't tell me towns and that. Just give me an idea from which province are you at this particular stage, so they can just quickly see the diversity of where you're coming from and where you're listening. Oh, there's Eastern Cape, Gauteng. Yes, we've got a few. Yes, there's the Free State as well. Gauteng, Northern Cape. Welcome, Northern Cape. Yes. Erika, welcome to the meeting. Okay, so we've got a lot of people from Gauteng, but we've got a lot of people all over the country. Welcome to everyone here. This is the CAT session for grade 12, and today we're going to do hLookup and vLookup. And without any further ado, I'm going to go into the meeting. Just please take note a few things. If you've got a question, I'm going to try to unmute you at this particular stage, but first post the question onto the chat, and then we can work from there to see if I'll be able to unmute you or not be able to unmute you. Please keep the chats clean. Let's keep the chats to what we are doing here, because we are in grade 12, CAT, and we're doing a wonderful subject. It's a lovely place to be here at this particular stage. So welcome all of you. Without further ado, let's get into our work. Right, so for today, we are doing CAT and grade 12, and we are doing Excel, and I'm especially going to look up the vLookup for you and the hLookup for you. So those are the two that we are going to do. Okay, so first of all, you're going to ask me, what is it? Yeah, okay. Yesterday we did the nested if statement, and yes, nested if can become very difficult very quickly for some people. So this is something which they put into Excel for you to make up easy formulas and functions, because what it does, it gives you a whole table and you have to look up just one value, and you can look up across or you can look up down. So there's the reason for that. So I remember in the olden days you had to put in a bunch of if statements, then you had to press Control Shift Enter for arrays to work in Excel. It was very difficult. That's the reason why they brought in vLookup and hLookup. So let's take a look quickly at the lookup, the vLookup. Okay, you can see there's an arrow pointing down. So what vLookup does, it looks up a value from the left side. Interesting, I'm going to go show that to you in Excel. We can only do left lookups, which means we look from the left side. Okay, but here's our formula or function that we're using. Okay, Carl Henry, welcome from Alberton. Okay, so the vLookup, we look for a specific value, and then it says there the word array. Okay, array is a set of values that we're looking. An array is just one word for a collection of values, and the array can be either in columns or the array can be in rows. Right, so that's one of the two. Then the last part there is either going to be, we're looking for an exact value. I mean, we're looking for the word Gary. We're looking for the word holding, or we're looking for the word male or the word female. Is usually associated with text. Or approximate, which I'm also going to show you, which means the closest value to that. Right. Okay, so that's our vLookup. So that's what the function looks like. With the approximate, remember now I said previously that there's a true or a false. Let me go and show you in Excel. Let me just find my proper Excel this time. Okay, so here's our Excel, and we're trying to look for something. Now there's one of two ways we can look for it. Okay, so here I've got on the left side, and this is how all lookups work. This is actually, I'm going to be honest with you, in general, if you're doing programming, if you're doing Delphi or Java, C++, Python, all of them, in general, when a computer searches for something, it will always start from the left side and it will look towards the right side for the answer. The same for the hLookups as well. It will start on the left side and it will continue to the right side to look for an answer. And those of you that do programming and that would know that you always do it from the left side as well. So this is interesting. What I was saying is with the exact and the approximate, in this case, we're either looking for the word male or we're looking for the word female. That's it. But it will start on the left and it will return an answer to the right of that. If we go to the approximate value, here's a tax rate scale. If the guy earns up to 9,999 Rand, his tax rate is 5%. If he earns up to and including 17,998 Rand, his tax rate would be 5.25%. So what the PowerPoint is telling us, we're going to get to the closest less than value. That's important. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do an example. Of course, I might have lost one or two of you at this particular stage because I'm kind of jumping around. Let me just go back to the previous slide that we've got there, the vLookup. I'm doing this part here. Yes. Do the exact value for me? No. Do the closest value. So what vLookup is going to do, it's going to look for a value from a specific set of values. That's what array means. It's going to look in a specific column. Remember, always from left to right. So it's going to be column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Yes. Give me an exact match from the left column or give me the closest value from that column. So, and this is the part which I'm doing here. If it's an approximate value, it's the closest value to that particular person. We're going to get to something just now at this particular stage. Right. So that's your vLookup. hLookup, what does hLookup do? It goes across and then down. So vLookup goes down first and then across. This one goes across first and then down. If you can see there, I'm going to share something with you. In my olden days when I used to be young, you guys are going to after university or college or maybe just going to go out in the world and see the world or going to get a job or whatever. But one of the things we did was we said, I'm going to study HUD now. What's HUD? Horizontal under duvet. So that's the horizontal mean across. Vertical means down. So if you take a look, just 2 slides back there, vertical, from up to down, from top to middle to bottom. So remember that. So if you can't remember what's the difference between vertical and horizontal, just think lying on your bed, then you're being horizontal. Vertical is when you're not on your bed, right? That's when you're standing up from your bed. So if you don't remember, use it like that. All right, so what we're doing, we're in the hLookup. So hLookup, exactly the same. The only thing is its starting point is going to go across instead of down. So here we've got again the value, the array, which row we wanted. So it's going to go across the columns and then go down the rows. Again, we want an exact value or we want the closest value to that one. With this exact value, we usually use this one where there's kind of text things that we're looking up. With this one, we're looking up usually kind of values from numbers. But this is just in general. It's not a specific rule because, again, they can ask you anything and everything the way they want to. Okay, so let's go, look up exact value, closest to the value, and approximation would be closest to the value. All right, let's go and do some Excel here because I'm dying to do Excel. Okay, so we've got some data here. And what we need to do, let's go and do this one first. Let's do an additional allowance for gender. So the question might be, work out, if it's female, work out an additional allowance based on their salary. If we go to the departmental allowance, here we've got some additional allowance. There we can do that. And for males, they get an additional allowance of 5%, and for females, get an additional allowance of 6%. So you can see we're going from the column. So we're looking up in a column. Yes, it's only 2 columns. You can do it with nested if or whatever, but we're doing vLookup now. Okay, so we're going to do male or female. So we're going to just search for male or female, and the corresponding answer in column 2, we're going to fit into our data. Right, so let's take a look. Okay, let's go to the chats. So, Sir Carlos, welcome back, Carlos. I can see there's a few people that seems to be here every day. So there's Carlos, there's Kyle. Those are the 2 ones that I kind of see and know already. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to the chats. Allowance gender. How would we do this? We would start with equal what? Let's see. In the Zoom group chat, what would you put in? Would you put in equal? Because we're looking from a row perspective and we want to find the answer in row 2 or row 3. Right, so where would we put it? We would put in what? Anyone in the messages? Columns, so hLookup is for rows, yeah, that we've got. Okay, anyone in the messages? Any takers? 9 o'clock still too early for some people. All right, okay, let's go and do a vLookup. Right, so there, vLookup. I'm going to look at what the person's gender is. And depending on the gender, it's going to put for me a number, the 5% or the 4%. Right, so lookup value. I'm just going to, let's just quickly do this because I know that most people won't be able to see here. Okay, there we go. I think that's better. Sometimes I forget that. So equal vLookup, right? We want to go and search for the gender in this stage. vLookup, right. Then it says the table array. Array is just a really fancy name for our columns where we find it. So in the departmental allowance, we're going to go here and we're going to select male or female. So it's going to look for us for either the male or the female, right? But remember now, we want to fix this so that it does not move. So on your keyboard, press F4 so that that becomes available, right? Okay, so that is for our data. Let's just press the F4 again. Okay, so column index number, if we go back here, there's always column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. That's column 1, column 2. We want the answer, which is in column 2. So if I go back here, I'm going to write there, comma, oops, oh, sorry. I've messed up something here. Right, so that's the table array. Let me just go and quickly get it again. F4, comma, right. Column, then departmental allowance. Okay, that should go out then. Right, so we're looking for column 2, and now comes the other one. Do I want an approximate match or do I want an exact match? I'm using text in this case, so it's either male, female, whatever. So I want an exact match. It must be what they write there because it is text. Right, so if I close it, there we go. And we just need to format it correctly. Let's see, the first one was gender is a female, so that would be 6%. So what we can do, we can now go and work out the allowance based on the salary. All that we did here was just do the vLookup. That's all. But now if we want to do a calculation with that, so after that, we're going to put down times, and now we're going to multiply it with the salary there. So that would give us the gender salary. For those of you that's first tuning in today, if we go to formulas, there's that little thing, evaluate formula. If we just quickly run through that, So it's going to look up E4, which in this case is going to give us female. Then it's going to go and do this part. Let's just see. So it did the whole vLookup for us and gave us that answer. And the last one, it's going to say times it with the amount, and boom, there we go. Right, so we can copy that down. If we just take one, maybe that's a male. Let's do the second one and just check and evaluate the formula there. Okay, so vLookup E5, and that would give us male. So now it's going to do the vLookup for us. So what it's going to do, it's going to go to the sheet, departmental allowance. It's going to go to this particular range. It's going to look in column 2 where it finds the word male, and it's going to return that answer, that exact answer. If it doesn't find male, it's going to give us false. Right. And there we go. So let's just maybe change something here. Let's just put there LL or whatever. Let's see what the answer is. Okay, not applicable, which means there's an error in this because it didn't find it. If we're going to go and evaluate the formula, evaluate, so you see there the formula, or our function still works. If we evaluate, boom, there we go, because it didn't find it. Because what did you want? Who can help me here? Who can help me here? Let's see on the chat. Or maybe raise a hand. Maybe raise a hand. Let's see here. Is there anyone that can raise a hand? Let's see. Can you raise hands? Or not really? Okay, not really. Is everyone with me? Okay, there's a hand. Joshua, I'm going to unmute you. And if you can just maybe tell me, what do you think the problem is here? Okay, Joshua, I don't think I can unmute you. Sorry, Joshua. Okay, I can't unmute you. Apologies. Okay, don't worry about it. The LL is not in the range. Yes, Carl. Oh, sorry, Joshua, you don't have a microphone. Okay, so we can't unmute you there. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, but Carl told us the LL is not in the range. Yes, the LL is not in the range. It's not part of the table. It's not part of those things we're doing. So therefore, it's giving us that NA error over there. Well done. This is what it's all about. Right, so let's just make that female again. Okay, so that is vertical lookup with an exact match. We need to have that exact matches, and it is usually false to give us that exact matches. Right, let's go and do the approximate match. Let's go and put in some tax over there. Right, so here is the person's tax scale. I'm just going to there we go. Okay. When we do values, grade 12, please make a mental note. Please make some form of note wherever you tie your fingers, whatever, tie a ribbon around you, whatever. The important thing when we do approximate values, and this is especially true in your PAT, because this is a very powerful thing you can use in your PAT. When you do this and you do numbers with approximate values, they need to be sorted. They need to be, the column that you're going to look up here, need to be sorted from small right through to large. You can see I just put in a few values just to illustrate the point. Okay, doesn't mean that, well, there might be people that earn this much money in South Africa, but I doubt it. Okay, so I'm trying to illustrate the point here that this need to be sorted, because the way the vLookup and the hLookup work with approximation with the true is as follows. You will put in, let's say, for example, you've got 3, 4, 5, 7, 6. That's your number. So what vLookup will do, it will go and say, right, I need to look up that number. So let me start here at the top of the table. Is this number smaller than 9,999? Nope, not really. Is it smaller than this number? Nope, not really. Is it smaller than this number? Nope, not really. Is it smaller than this number? Yes, it's smaller. There, it becomes true. So I have to use this particular one. if I'm correct. So that's what the vLookup does when it does approximation, when you put it to true. It will literally go through the value, and that's why you need to have your values from small to large. It will go through those values until it finds one where it's not smaller. Remember what I showed here in the slides. Let's just quickly go back to the slides. There. Closest to the value, but less than the value. There. That's the important thing with approximation. That is really important, because it will go through. So if my values are incorrect, then I'm going to get incorrect answers. So that's very important with the approximation. Okay, so let's go and do some tax here. So I'm going to still do a vLookup. So I'm going to say equal vLookup, right? So I want my salary, comma. Now I'm going to go to my tax scale. I'm going to highlight my tax scale, F4, comma. Then I'm going to put in the second column, but now I'm going to put in true for the approximate match. So it gives me 5.5. Let's go and see. That's the salary. Let's just copy the salary and see if it's going to work. Let's go up. Let's just paste it there. Okay. So what it does, it says there 82,520. Is it smaller? Nope. Is it smaller? Nope. Is it smaller? Nope. Is it smaller? Nope. Oh, yeah, it's smaller than this one. Right. So now I'm going to select the previous one, because from 58,314 up to 104,965.49, you pay that tax amount. Sorry, I might have done it a bit different a few minutes ago, but it looks for this. It looks for it as long as it's not smaller. So it will go to that one and then go back to that particular value. Right, so it will go one back to that particular value and that one, because the range here is from 58314.17 up to 104,965.49, and this 82,000 is smaller than that one. So that's the approximation for that one. So make sure about that. And if we're going to, the tax, and then we just multiply it again to multiply it with our value. Oops. Let's try this again. Multiply it with the value there, and that gives us our tax for that particular one. So that's the amount of tax the people will pay based on their salary for that. Right. Okay, so make sure I might have done it slightly different. The explanation was slightly different, but it goes back to the previous one. So if it finds that 82,520 is smaller, but that one is smaller, then it will use that particular one. Right. Okay. Let's put in an additional allowance. Let's go and do an hLookup based on the department. Right, so there's a department allowance, there's clothing, tools, furniture. The H is exactly the same. It's going to, yeah, you can laugh at me, that's fine. I've had one of those hiccups again. Right, so hLookup, I'm going to do hLookup. Right, I'm going to look for the tools in this particular case. Then I'm going to go to my departmental allowance. But now look at my table, the way my table is now organized. There's headings, and underneath the headings, there are a few things. So it is organized now from left to right, but it is organized in rows at this particular stage, with the columns carrying the data. Right. In this case, would row index be number 2? That would be correct because that would be row 1. That would be row 2, row 3, row 4. Yes, that is correct. That was the question. So a 4, comma. So the index is going to be 2 and it's going to be false because I want an exact match because I am using again, oops, I kicked out the E because I'm using text false and that data there is wrong. Just go and get the correct data there. That would be under departmental allowance. That one, F4. Right, if we go back, I'm just going to press enter after this one if you don't mind. I'm going to go there, F4, enter. There we go. Right, so that gives us whatever comes from tools. If I go here, tools, whatever is in that particular row. Okay, so if I'm going to copy this down, let's just copy this down. So for tools, there's furniture. Furniture is 6%. There we go. So that's furniture. And all that we need to do now is to multiply that again with the salary. Right. So the one is used as is indicated in the chat. The one is used for information that is horizontal, and the other one is used for information that is vertical. Right. If we go on with our PowerPoints, there we go. Let's, okay, here's a nice one. Take into account the gender of the person. Calculate an additional allowance. If the employee is male, use the second column. And if the employee is female, using the third column to calculate the allowance. Taking into account the gender of the person. Calculate an additional allowance. If the employee is male, use the second column. And if the employee is female, use the third column to calculate the allowance. I think what they're trying to do here is also, and I think this is the problem. Let me just go and see if I can change this slide here. Nope, I'm not really going to be able to do that. The gender of the person, calculate an additional allowance. Okay, so that we've done at this particular stage. If the employee is male, use the second column. If the employee is female, use the third column to calculate the allowance. I think what they're saying here or asking here is to work on the departments as well. So here, let's do that. So the question is, female, and she's in department tools. Male is in department tools. Male here in department furniture, male in department clothing. So what they want, based on that the male, we use the second column for that allowance, and the females, we use the third column for that allowance. Whoa, this is a cracker. This is a cracker. Right, let's see. Okay, so if it's a female and she's working in tools, female working in tools, she should get a 3% additional allowance. Male working in tools, male working in tools should get a 4% allowance. Whoa, this is a cracker. Okay. Any questions? Anyone? Think a bit. How are we going to deal with this one? How are we going to deal with this? Think about it. Female in tools. Now, remember now, this is kind of combining also from yesterday. On the one side, we've got the vLookup or the hLookup. In this case, we're going to use hLookup because the data goes, or what we have to look for is over there. Yes, Carlos, we should use first an if statement, and inside the if statement, we are going to use the hLookup. Well done. Well spotted there. Okay, so let's take a look. The clue from yesterday gave it up. I'm right. Yes, the clue from yesterday. Okay, what we're going to do, because we're doing two things here, we're first going to look if it's male or female. If it's female, there's a true part to it. If there's male, there's a false part to it. And inside the true part, we're going to call the hLookup. In the false part, we're going to call another hLookup. So this is a way of doing some complicated things. And with this, you can do even a nested if. If there was more than one department, this is actually a very nice exam question for level 3, where you would put an if statement and those things together, because it is actually multiple things that you have to look. All right, let's quickly go and do that one. Let's just find, right, so this is, let's call it just complex lookup. So we're going to first say equal if. So we're going to start with the if, and in the if, we're going to put there, if it's female, is equal to female. Right. So if it's female, the answer is female. What should we do? Let's see in the chats. Anyone there in the chats? If the condition is female, we want to get the department allowance of there from the department. So if it's female, what is the next step going to be? Who can tell me? Let's see, maybe the person with a mic can maybe just raise their hand, see if I can unmute you. Any takers here? 3%, yes, we know the answer. Think. We've got there a value. We have to look up another value based on that. So if it's true, if it's female, then we have to look up where. If it's female, we have to look up there in that one. If it's male, then we have to look up in that one. That's what we have to do. So if it's female, then we have to look up in one column. Think. Any takers here? I'm going to use here an hLookup. That's what I'm going to do. I'm making a decision here. If it's a female, I'm going to use one lookup. If it is a male, I'm going to use another lookup. So in this lookup, I'm now going to look at what's my department. I'm going to look in my table array here, or my values. If it's female, I have to return the third column. And I want an exact match. Oops, I missed there. They just, sorry, let me just put it out there. Yeah, I'm missing. Right. Okay, so let's take a look at this stage. Let's just put there, comma, nothing. Okay, it's still giving us a value. Let's just quickly go and see what the error is. If F4 equals female, female equals female, that is correct. The data F4, which is tools, the departmental allowance, gives us true. Oh, yes. What did, yes. I'm missing the row. Yes. Thank you for that. So there, comma, the row. There. Thank you very much. So it's missing the row. Okay. So here, can you see what I'm doing here? If let's just do it like that. If I look for female, I'm doing a whole hLookup based around the fact that I found a female. Fourth row, because we're doing 1, 2, 3, fourth row. Yes, thank you. We're doing the fourth row. Okay, there we go. Okay, so based on the fact that this is a female, I do a whole lookup based on the fact that I'm looking for female. Right, let's go and do the male part. So the male part will also be an hLookup, round bracket. So I'm going to put there F4 again. I'm going to go back to my data. I'm going to select that, F4, comma, Now that's column 1, 2. I want to go column 3. So I'm going to put there column 3, and I'm going to put there false because it is text. Right. It just you wouldn't be able to see. I know this is a difficult one, but follow what I'm doing. So there's the hLookup for the female. There's the if. So we started with an if. So if we said it's female, then we go and look up the whole thing using column 4. Else, we're going to look up the whole thing but using column 3. And it's false because we're using text. Okay, so let's see now if that's going to work. All right, let's go and just check our data. So that is 3. So we've got a female in tools. So we've got a female in tools, which is that one. So that is correct. So let's just look for a male in furniture. The male in furniture, this one over here, is going to give us 0.05. So the male, furniture male, gives us that one. Okay. When you do something complex like, because this is a complex one, make no mistake, this is not easy. When you do something like this, it's break it down. Break it down in what the output should be. I'm going to start something, if you don't mind. If I've got, there we go. Okay, here we go. Right. So when you do these things, decision making, always try to break it down for yourself in what, first of all, what do you need to display? What should the output be? What should the display be? Okay. If there's 3 displays, right, then do something like this, input. Go and look what value. So this is usually the value that you need to look up. So check what the value is that you need to look up and check against what the display should be for that value. That would give you some indication as what you should follow here in the middle. The value, and then see what is available for the display. Right. So always start with that one and see what should I display. Whatever I should display is going to influence what I'm going to use over here. Okay. So this is just maybe one way of thinking about these things. Apologies. For the if statements, for the vLookups, for the hLookups. Look at what value do I need to get the answer from. Right, what should my output be? And if you do it that way, then you will see here for the complex, I've got, what should my output be? My output should be there. That's what my output should be. For the false part, that's what my output should be. How am I going to get to it? What should my input be? My input should be my female in this case, as well as which department I belong to for your input and your output. So think about it that particular way. I think we're running out of time. Yeah, whoa, we've got 3 minutes left. Okay, quickly. vLookup, top to bottom, hLookup, left to right, exact false, approximate true. Named range in vLookup. I'm going to get back to that one quickly. Just now, I want to do what we're going to do tomorrow. Yeah, it would be around about 10 marks, something like that, even maybe a bit more, because there's a lot of things you need to have there. So I doubt, I'm referring back to this last part, which we just did. I doubt if they'll ask you something like that, but it's a really nice exercise in stretching your brain. Thinking about what should go where and working meticulously with this type of thing. All right, tomorrow we're going to do conditional formatting. And I'm going to do conditional formatting specifically with formulas and functions, because believe it or not, there's only 3 things in Excel: functions, formulas, formatting. And from those 3, conditional formatting is actually the back end, is actually just functions in any case. We've got a very nice front end, but there's a back end, which I'm going to show you tomorrow. Right, getting back to this one. This is a YouTube video on using named ranges and vLookup. So that's also quite a nice video that you can take a look at. Yeah, that's it for today. Yes, vLookup and hLookup is really not that difficult on its own, but they can combine it with something else, and that's where it can become difficult. That's why I've showed you. Look at what the output should be. What should your display be? And work from your display backwards. And that should be able to help you with that. If we go on, conditional formatting, yes. If you've got some questions, you can contact me, engelbrecht@hslspark.school.za. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. The conditional formatting is going to be very good. Please be here. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Remember, we're here the whole time. So there's other channels as well. Go look at the other subjects as well. Thank you very much for being here.